Good morning. Welcome back. We were discussing the fourth unit, right? So, in the fourth unit is especially about it is about the shallow foundations. So, shallow foundations. When you will call a foundation as a shallow foundation, if the depth is less than or equal to the width of your foundation, then we can call them as a shallow foundations. Okay, so if your soil profile in the shallow region is good enough to take the load, then we can go for the shallow foundations. Okay, so always shallow foundations are more preferable. Okay, so why more preferable? Because the construction of shallow foundation is easy and cheaper also. Okay, as compared to the pile foundations. Okay, so I will come to that pile foundation in your final unit, that is unit number 5. Okay, so there we will discuss the construction techniques and cost involved. Everything we will discuss in the pile foundations. Okay, as compared to your pile foundations, pile foundations are nothing but your deep foundations. Okay, so shallow foundations are much easier to construct and also much cheaper to construct. Okay, so always the cost involved in the shallow foundation is very less as compared to the pile foundation. So always everybody will try to go for the shallow foundations. Okay, so until and unless only if the loads are very high, very huge loads are coming, and your soil is not capable in the shallow region, if your soil is not capable of taking that load, then we can go for the pile foundation. Okay, so before going to the pile foundation, there is one more intermediate stage, that is the raft foundation. Raft also comes under shallow foundation only, but it can take more load than your isolated footings. Okay, so that is like a transition phase, your mat foundations or raft foundations. Okay, even if raft foundations also not suitable, then only people will go for the pile foundations. Okay, so let me we in the last class we were discussing, we already discussed about Terzaghi's bearing capacity theory. Okay, so my screen is visible for all you. Please respond, anybody, whether my screen is visible. Yes,
sir.
okay. So in the last class we discussed about the Terzaghi's bearing capacity theory. So we'll continue with that theory, and how this Terzaghi's bearing capacity theory is improved over the years. Okay, so in the 1943 he started this Terzaghi's bearing capacity, this bearing capacity theory, and we have already seen these all assumptions. What are these assumptions he has done to derive those equations? Okay, so in the Terzaghi's theory, what he considered three zones of three soil zones. Okay, so what are those zones? First zone is the wedge zone. Okay, so this is the wedge zone, and the second zone is the radial shear zone. Okay, so this is the radial shear zone, and third is the passive zone. Okay, so this is the passive zone. So the same, since it is a symmetry about the y-axis, I have shown only half figure. Okay, so actually it should look like this. Okay, so whatever the portion is there on the right hand side also will be there in the left hand side. Since it is a symmetry, I shown only half portion. Okay, so it will look like this. Okay, so since I don't have space here, I can't show. Anyway, I have shown already in that recap lecture. Okay, so he assumed three zones, and what he derived first, initially he derived for the continuous strip footing. Okay, so first, whatever the initial derivations were there, those initial derivations are for general failure case. It is for general failure case and for the strip or continuous foundation. Okay, so for that he derived, what is the equation? He derived this equation, CNC. Okay, so C dash is nothing but it's the effective cohesion I'm telling. Okay, so there is effective shear strength parameter. Okay, so C or C dash, don't confuse with the dash. Okay, so wherever the dash is coming, that means it's the effective parameter, not the total parameter. So CNC plus QNQ plus half gamma B N gamma. Okay, so what is this NC, NQ, and N gamma? So these are the bearing capacity factors. Okay, so these are the bearing capacity factors, and these factors depends on phi value. Okay, so what is the phi value? Phi is nothing but the angle of internal friction. Based on the angle of internal friction, we can get this NC, NQ, N gamma value. Okay, so this is the basic equation. Then on that basic equation, he worked on further. He worked on, and then he extended this basic equation to the other shape of foundations. Not only the strip footing, for even for the square footing he derived, and even for the circular foundations also he derived. Okay, so if you see these equations, the only difference is here some extra coefficients are coming, and half is nothing but 0.5. Okay, so this is 0.5 gamma B and gamma, and for the square footing it is 0.4, and for the circular footing it is 0.3. Okay, so they are almost the base, the skeleton of the whatever the skeleton of this equation is, that is same. Only small changes will come depending on your shape of the foundation. Okay, if you have a stiff foundation, then you have to use this equation. If you have a square foundation, then this equation you should use, and if you have a circular foundation, then you should use this equation. Okay, so these equations are for what? General shear case. General shear failure. Okay, suppose if you have a local shear failure, suppose if you have a local shear failure, then these equations you should use for the stiff footing, for square footing, and circular foundation. Okay, so if you see again, skeleton of the equation is same: CNC, QNQ, half gamma B and gamma. Only some coefficients is going to change here. Okay, so here instead of CNC we are using 2/3 of CNC, and here instead of 1.3 we are using 0.867. Okay, so just what you do, you write all the equations side by side and notice what is the difference. Okay, you remember only that difference. So if you remember the skeleton of this equation, and then small changes, if you remember, then there will not be any difficulty in recalling these equations. Okay, and if you notice carefully, in the general shear case I am using NC, NQ, and N gamma. Okay, but in the local shear case I am using NC dash, sorry, NQ dash, and N gamma dash. Okay, so in the local shear failure case, I am using NC dash, NQ dash, N gamma dash. How to get these parameters? Again, these are also bearing capacity factors. So these factors can be obtained by reducing the phi value, whatever phi is there, your angle of internal friction. You reduce it by 2/3 times and take the inverse of tan inverse of that. That number will give me your phi dash value. Okay, so phi dash bar value I will get. Okay, for this phi dash bar value, you look for that table and get the NC, NQ, N gamma values. Those itself will become NC dash, NQ dash, and N gamma dash. Okay. So I will solve some problems at that time. It will be more clearer. Okay, how this general shear failure case, in case of general, how to get this NC, NQ, N gamma, and in local shear case, how to get these numbers. Okay, so we will solve some problems at that time. It will be more clearer. Okay, so whatever the solution obtained originally by Terzaghi was for the strip or continuous footing, and then later on what he did, he improved those. Okay, so whatever equations I have shown here, whatever equations I have shown, I repeated here once again. Okay, so initially he started with continuous footing, and then he extended for the square and circular footing. Okay, so what is C, Q? What is Q? Is nothing but what? Q is the overburden pressure. That is, Q is nothing but gamma times your depth of foundation. That means, see this Q. Q is nothing but gamma times your depth of foundation. Depth of foundation is this one. If I D I written, sometimes I may use DF, D suffix F. Then in that case, gamma into D suffix F. Gamma is nothing but unit weight of the soil present above the level of footing up to the ground level. This is my ground level. Okay. So now we will see in detail who is contributing these parameters. Who is contributing C and C, Q and Q, 0.5, gamma B and gamma. If you see this figure, there are different the soil present in different zones. Okay, so this is some soil is there, and this is some other soil is there. Okay, then you see this C is nothing but the cohesion parameter of the soil. Okay, so cohesion parameter is contributing. You see the first term in above equation reflects the contribution of the cohesion. Okay, and the second term. Okay, you see this is the first term, second term, and the third term. The second term reflects the frictional contribution of the surcharge. What do you mean by surcharge? This soil. Okay, so whatever soil present here, it will contribute to my this second term. Okay, and whatever this third term is there. Okay, so this third term, the third term reflects the frictional contribution of self weight of the soil below the footing level. Okay, so this soil is there. Whatever soil is present at this level will contribute to my this third term. Okay, so combinedly you will get a resistance for the shear failure. Okay, so combinedly this soil and this soil, everybody will contribute to resist whatever load you have applied. So we have already seen these how to get these NC, NQ, and gamma value. Okay. Okay, I have three different options to get NC, NQ, and gamma. Either I can use a table or chart or formulas I can use. Okay, but in your VTU exam, they will give directly these NC, NQ, and gamma. No need to bother about these values. So directly they will give for the corresponding phi value of 35 degree. So NC is some number and NQ is something and N gamma is something. Okay, they will give in the exam. So from the table we can get this NC, NQ, and gamma for the different phi value, and even for the from the chart or graph also we can get. Okay, so for the different phi value we can get NC, NQ, and gamma value depending on the these parameters. Okay, whether you are referring for N gamma or whether you are referring for the NC or whether you are referring for the NQ. Okay, so accordingly you choose the graph and take the corresponding numbers. And the third option is these formulas. You can use these formulas. So again, for the local shear failure, I already discussed in my previous slide. Okay, so general shear case, in the local shear case, what we'll do, we'll reduce the parameter by 2/3. And also we have seen this problem also. Okay, so we have solved this problem also. Okay, now coming to this groundwater effect. Okay, so this is very important. So already I discussed in my previous class also this effect of groundwater table, but I will take another approach to describe this groundwater effect. Okay, so there are different ways to accommodate this groundwater effect. Okay, so whatever this your equation was there, no? What was your basic equation? Q ultimate or Q F also sometimes they will use Q, this QU only take. Okay, so QU is equal to what is CNC plus QNQ plus 0.5 gamma B N gamma. Okay, so this is my basic equation. Okay, so derived by Terzaghi. While if you see in his assumptions, what he assumed, the groundwater is much beyond the foundation level, so that there is no effect of the groundwater table on the bearing capacity. Okay, which is not actually practical in case. Okay, so what will happen? The groundwater table, it may fluctuate depending on the seasonal variations. Okay, so in the monsoon season, you may get a water table at the top of the ground table, at the level of the ground level itself. Okay, in the summer season, what will happen? This groundwater table will be at a much deeper level, due to which the bearing capacity may not be affected. Okay, so you have to consider it for the worst case condition. So we'll see how we can accommodate this groundwater effect in this bearing capacity equation. So here we have to, so this Q is nothing but what? Q is nothing but gamma times D. Gamma times D. Okay, I have written here gamma times D. I written instead of Q, I written gamma times D. Okay, so there are three cases will come into picture once you deal with the groundwater effect. Okay, so first case is if the highest water table is well below the foundation level. Okay, so well below, how much well below? That means your water table is at a depth which is equal to D plus B. If your water table is beyond this level, then there is no need to apply any correction. Okay, so I will once again I will animate this one. Okay, so if your water table is somewhere here at a depth of D plus B, and in the lifespan of this structure, the water table never come above this level. Okay, so that means it will always fluctuate in this level. So initially the water table was somewhere here in your monsoon season. Okay, and in the driest stage, that is in the summer stage, it may go down up to this level. Okay, in that case you need not to apply any corrections. Okay, so this equation is there as it is. You can use this equation. There is no need to apply any correction. Okay, so what is provided what is the case? If your water table is present at a depth which is equal to D plus B, and this is the highest water table level, and in the summer season it may go beyond that. Okay, it will never come above this level. In that case, this is my case one. At that time, what I have to do, I need not to apply any correction. Okay, so no correction is required. So straight away I can use same equation. That means whatever your these parameters are there now, depending on the water table, these rounded, whatever I put a round mark here, those parameters will change. Okay, since there is no need to do the correction for the case one, so I can use your gamma dash and your whatever your densities are there as a bulk unit weight I can use. No need to apply any correction here. So this is my case number one. So now we will see case number two. What is the case two? If the water table is at the footing level, this is in the summer stage, you have a water table somewhere here. Okay, so but once the monsoon start, your water table may rise up to the ground level. Okay, so what you have to do in this case? This will become my case number two. In this case, so what I have to do? These gamma parameters are there. No, these gamma parameters I have to use submerged these what do you call this buoyancy unit weight. Okay, so that means I have to use the effective unit weight. So that means gamma dash. How we can calculate gamma dash is nothing but your whatever bulk density minus unit weight of water. Okay, so bulk unit weight minus unit weight of water for the both parameter. Okay, so for the parameter for the second term parameter as well as in the third term parameter, because water may be present in this region. Okay, so it may fluctuate in this region. Water may fluctuate in this region. Okay, so that's why. So I have to consider that submerged unit weight in the second term as well as in the third term. Okay, so this is my case number two. Then what is the third case? Case number three. If the highest water table is at foundation level, that means the in the monsoon season the water table is somewhere here. That means exactly at the level of your footing, and then in the summer it may vary between here, from here to here. means first from the footing level to the depth equal to the width of the foundation. If the water table is varying between this region, then what are the corrections you have to apply to this equation? Okay, so since the water table is somewhere here, my second term is not going to affect. Only my third term is going to affect, because this third term is contributed by the soil present below the foundation. Your second term is contributed by the soil present above the foundation level. Okay, since the water table is fluctuating from the footing level to the depth which is equal to the width of foundation, then my third term is going to affect. Okay, so my second term is not required any correction here. Okay, so that's why I am using in the second term I am using bulk unit weight. But in the third term, I should use the effective stress, effective unit weight, that is the buoyancy unit weight. Okay. So this buoyancy unit weight, how I can determine this buoyancy unit weight is nothing but gamma B, that is bulk unit weight, minus unit weight of water into 1 minus dW. dW is nothing but your depth of water table. So this is my dW. dW minus D. Minus D. D is what? Depth of footing. dW is the depth of water table. Depth of water table. And D is my what? Depth of footing. Okay. So this is essentially, this is nothing but, it is like a gamma dash. Suppose, let me explain this way. Okay. So this equation, with this equation, whatever gamma dash will use, no, that you should put here. That means you have to modify this gamma dash. How you can modify this gamma dash? By using this equation. What this equation essentially is telling? It is telling you have to take the weighted effective weight in this region. Okay, so that means suppose my water table is at a depth at this level. Let us go to clean up this. Okay, this third case is very important. This third case itself is only a confusing one. Other two cases are very straightforward. Okay, so third case is very important because it may, some people may get confused here. So be concentrate here. So what is the third case I'm telling? The water table is initially at the foundation level or the footing level, and then it may vary between the depth in this region. In this region, if the water table is varying, then what I have to do? I have to apply the correction to only to the third term. Okay, so I need not to apply any correction to the second term. So my bulk unit weight I will use as it is, because this soil is not at all affected by the water table. But whatever soil present below the footing, that will be affected by this groundwater table. So accordingly, I have to change. I have to take whether submerged unit weight I should take, or the bulk unit weight I should take. Okay, suppose my groundwater table is somewhere here. Then this term, this dW is now equal to what? D. Okay, so dW is now equal to D. So dW minus D, D will get cancelled, so it will become a 0. Okay, it will become 0. Then my equation will become like gamma dash equal to gamma B minus gamma W. Understood? So this is the only correction term we should apply in the case number 3. Okay, so any doubt in these effect of water table in these 3 cases? Okay, so in the case 1, what is the case 1? Case 1 is nothing but the water table is well below the foundation level. Okay, so that means Initially, in the monsoon season, the water table was here, and in summer season, it may go beyond this. Okay, so the water table will never come above this level. Will never come above this level. That is my case number one. In that one, there is no need to apply any correction at all, because whatever soil present here is also not affected by groundwater table, and whatever soil present here is also not affected by the groundwater table. Okay, that's why I need not to apply any correction here. Then in the second case, what is there? In the summer season, the groundwater table is somewhere here, but in the monsoon, it may come up to the ground level. Then what are the corrections I should apply? I should apply to the correction for both parameters. Okay, so my second term parameter and my third term parameter. Why? Because the soil present above footing level is also affected by water table, and the soil present below the footing level also is affected by my water table. That's why I should apply corrections to both. That means I have to use the effective unit weight in the both term, in second term as well as in third term. What is the third case? Third case is, see, first I have discussed the two extreme cases. Okay, so this is the middle case. Okay, so this is the middle case. That means your footing, the water table will fluctuate from your footing level to the depth, which is equal to the width of foundation. That means the water table will vary in this region. So in that case, what will happen? Anyway, my second term is not going to affect, because the whatever soil is present here, it is still in dry condition. So it is not affected by your groundwater table. But my groundwater table is affecting the soil present in this region. In this region, whatever soil is there, that is affected by this groundwater table. That's why I am applying the correction factor only to the third term. Okay, so what is that correction factor? I have to use the unit weight or effective unit weight. Okay, so I have to use this effective unit weight. But whereas in second term, I need not to use any effective unit weight. I can straight away do with your bulk unit weight. So what is this effective weight? Effective weight is nothing but your bulk unit weight minus unit weight of water into whatever this term is there. No, this term is like to accommodate if the water table is somewhere here. If your water table is somewhere here, in between both, then what will happen? This much will be a dry case, soil will be dry, and this much will be submerged. Okay, to accommodate that, this parameter I am including here. So if the water table is somewhere here permanently, then gamma dash will be straight away very simple. Gamma dash will be your bulk unit weight minus unit weight, dry unit weight. Sorry, your unit weight of water. If the water table is here, then no need to apply any correction at all. But in between, then you should apply with gamma dash equal to gamma B minus gamma W into 1 minus dW minus D divided by B. Okay. See, again, some word of caution here. See, this groundwater effect is there. Different people will try to do the correction in different ways. Okay, so I will discuss in this lecture only the two ways to do the corrections. Okay, so if you refer some other books, they will explain in different way. Okay, so there are many methods to to accommodate this groundwater effect in your bearing capacity equation. But all these methods will lead similar answers only. Okay, so not exactly same answer, but you will get in the same range. Okay, suppose somebody, if I am getting a bearing capacity of 200 kilopascal, then if you use some other method, then you may get like 210 or 220 it is not going to matter whether you use 200, 210 or 220. It is not going to matter here, because we are using a huge factor of safety in this bearing capacity equation. Okay, so almost a factor of safety of 3 we will use. Okay, so that means 3 times we are reducing the bearing capacity, ultimate bearing capacity. 3 times we are reducing it. Okay, so I will come to that in the later stage, while when we are discussing the problem at that time we will see. Okay, but don't get confused by referring different textbooks. Okay, so stick to one. You stick to one and then you carry on, because different textbooks will explain in different ways to apply these corrections. But you will get whatever method you use, but you will get same bearing capacity, not same range, I should tell. Okay, so in the same range you will get. It is not going to affect much to your final answer. So this is the one way of doing correction for the groundwater table. Okay, so till now we discussed only the Terzaghi's bearing capacity theory. Okay, so since the Terzaghi's bearing capacity theory is not perfect one, okay, so it is having some drawbacks. What are those drawbacks? Those are called as limitations. First and foremost limitation is shape of failure surface. Okay, so he has considered a log spiral failure surface, but when you see actual conditions, it may not log spiral. Okay, so it is a combination of different shapes. So that is one limitation. And what are the other limitations? It is not applicable for rectangular footings. Okay, so the Terzaghi has given for continuous footing, square footing and circular footing. He never given for the rectangular footing the equation. Okay, so that is one more limitation. And then he did not consider any inclined loads. So inclined loads he did not consider. That means if your footing is there and some load is applied with some angle to the vertical, then you cannot use Terzaghi's bearing capacity equation to calculate the safe bearing capacity of the foundation. That is also one limitation. Then what is the fourth limitation? Large depth to width ratio he considered. That is my fourth limitation. Okay, so to overcome these limitations, what he did, many people started working on these Terzaghi's bearing capacity equation. For example, like Mayrhof in 1953 to 1963, again he improved this Terzaghi's bearing capacity equation. Then Brinch-Hansen in 1961 to 70, again he also worked on the bearing capacity equation of Terzaghi's, and then he also tried to improve it. And then finally the Vesic in 1973 to 1975, he also started working on this Terzaghi's bearing capacity, and then he improved this equation. Whatever basic equation was there, no? What was the basic equation? That is ultimate load bearing capacity of the soil is equal to CNC plus QNQ plus 0.5 gamma P N gamma. So for this basic equation, many people contributed. The skeleton of the equation remains same. Only what they did, they added some extra parameters. They used the same basic equation, then added some extra parameters. Suppose my foundation is having some inclined load, then how to incorporate these parameters, inclined loads. Okay, so those parameters they included. So we'll discuss this basic equation, we'll see. But it is not in your syllabus, but whatever IS 6403 is in your syllabus. Okay, so IS 6403. So this is the code which we will use to calculate the bearing capacity for the different foundations. Okay, so this IS 6403 is the combination of all these equations. Like Mayrhof, they used some parameters from the Mayrhof, and they used some parameters from Brinch-Hansen, and then some parameters from Vesic. Okay, so it is like a khichdi. IS 6403 is a combination of all these theories. So So whatever good things are there from Meyrov, Brinch, Henson, and Vesic, and then they started incorporating all those good parameters, and then they prepared this IS6403. Okay, so in India we will use this IS6403 to calculate the bearing capacity. So here I used here. So Vesic in 1973 and 75, it is based on the theoretical and experimental findings, and is an excellent alternative to the Terzaghi's formula. It produces more accurate bearing capacity values. Vesic produces more accurate bearing capacity values, and it applies to much broader range of loading and geometry conditions. That means if you have a inclined load, or if you have a different shape like rectangular foundations, or circular, or square, or strip, whatever okay, so whatever shape may be. Okay, so they included for all the shapes, they included shape factors they included. And what is the third point here? The primary disadvantage is its added complexity. Okay, so as you Vesic is, of course, it is a more accurate and more sophisticated. As the equation becomes sophisticated, what will happen? The complication also will increase. You see, this equation now has become this much big equation. This is for the Vesic. As I told, as the equation tried to improve, then the disadvantage is it become more complicated. Equation become more complicated. Okay, so what will happen later? This Vesic and this Brinch Henson is there. No, they together combinedly they came up with the general bearing capacity equation. General means, see, instead of getting confused with these different authors' equation, they started with some general bearing capacity equation by Vesic. So what is that general bearing capacity? Do I have time, or your next class is scheduled? It's 8:40. I think your time is over. Can we meet again today in the afternoon, if possible, for you people? Is it okay? Or anyway, I will stop it here because your next class is scheduled. So I will stop it here. Then we'll meet tomorrow only. Okay, so I will take extra class maybe on Saturday, I think. So stop it.